If this is true, if even half of what's being whispered right now is real, then everything Harry and Meghan built collapses in real time, in front of everyone, with nowhere to hide and no spin strong enough to save it. Because this isn't about petty palace drama anymore. This isn't Netflix tears or recycled trauma or another carefully rehearsed victim narrative. This is about their children, and that changes everything.
Victim of the media, she was a master of the media and a master of media manipulation. Back to America feeling very, very chagrined, very annoyed that they didn't get the exposure they wanted. Berserk. And said that he'd never spoken to me and had no idea.
The moment Tom Bower opened his mouth, the internet detonated. Not a slow burn, not curiosity. Full-on explosion. Because he didn't hint, he didn't dance around it. He went straight for the one place Harry and Meghan cannot afford scrutiny, the foundation of their entire story. The timelines, the pregnancies, the missing moments that were never explained. The questions people were told were off limits. And suddenly, all those things people were shamed for noticing, they don't sound crazy anymore. They sound inconvenient. Because here's the brutal truth nobody wants to say out loud. Harry and Meghan are out of options. They don't have fallback plans. They don't have royal safety nets. They don't have quiet inheritances waiting in the wings. They have contracts, and contracts don't care about dignity. The palace stayed quiet, too quiet, and people noticed something else, something that had been brushed off for years as privacy. Why were their children never presented the way every other royal child was? Why did the rules suddenly change only for them? This wasn't rebellion. This wasn't modernity. This felt like avoidance. Because when Netflix money becomes oxygen, you don't walk away, you bleed publicly. And Tom Bower knows this game better than almost anyone alive. This is a man who built a career on pulling threads powerful people prayed would never be touched. He dismantled Charles. He rewrote Camilla's public image. He doesn't speculate. He waits until patterns lock into place. And when Meghan arrived, he saw the same thing, a story begging to be examined. What he found was devastatingly simple. They're trapped. Harry and Meghan didn't escape the system. They traded one cage for another, a shinier one, a louder one that demands fresh blood every quarter.
On a manhunt, she was looking for a husband and an English husband, and Harry was available.
They signed away their exit strategy, Netflix, books, speaking deals. That's not freedom, that's dependency. Because if they walk away now, the Montecito fantasy implodes. The mansion shrinks. The lifestyle evaporates. The influence dies. They don't get to stop telling their story because the story is the product. And when you need money that badly, principles become optional. Sources say Harry wasn't just upset when Bower's claim surfaced, he spiraled. Because this wasn't another hit piece he could dismiss as racist or tabloid lies. This was structural damage. They keep producing content not because they want to, but because they have to. And every chapter exposes more contradictions. Tom Bower clocked it early. Money would drive every move. Meghan believed marrying a prince meant marrying billions. She didn't realize Harry was asset poor and institution rich, and once he left the institution, the money stopped flowing. Now they're compensating in public.
And now he's going to have to raise his game to make his book saleable, and that's what we'll wait to see what he's going to say.
What they built isn't independence, it's surveillance, self-inflicted. Every private moment is content. Every family detail is leverage. Every silence is suspicious. Netflix needs drama. Publishers need controversy, and controversy requires escalation. There is no pivot. There is no reinvention. And then people started revisiting the pregnancies, not maliciously, not obsessively, just noticing. The photos felt off. Too staged, too controlled, too perfect. Timelines jumped, details blurred. Moments that should have been documented weren't. And the question people kept asking refused to go away: where were the hospital photos? Every royal birth for generations followed the same ritual. William and Kate didn't invent it, they honored it. But Harry and Meghan skipped all of it. No steps outside the hospital, no official medical confirmations, no continuity. That absence screamed louder than any press release. And when people asked, they were told to shut up. But silence doesn't erase curiosity, it feeds it. Tom Bower saw the lockdown firsthand. Friends refused to speak. Emails went unanswered. Doors slammed shut. That level of control isn't normal. It's defensive. Privacy is one thing, information blackout is another, and when you aggressively silence everyone, people don't stop asking, they assume there's something worth hiding. Then comparisons got unavoidable. William and Kate's children are everywhere. Birthdays, gatherings, grandparent moments, documented. documented, normal. Harry and Meghan's children, almost invisible. No cozy moments with Charles, no Camilla, no casual royal presence. And for a family obsessed with optics, that absence felt intentional. No birthday posts, no warm acknowledgements, no integration. Observers started wondering whether the distance wasn't punishment, but protection. Protection for the institution. Because if questions ever explode publicly, the monarchy can say they never fully folded these children into the system. That's not emotional distance. That's strategic insulation. And once that idea took hold, things got ugly. What if surrogacy wasn't just a private choice? What if biology itself wasn't what had been implied? For normal families, that wouldn't matter. For royals, it's everything. Bloodlines aren't symbolic, they're structural. They determine legitimacy, succession, authority. If donors were involved, if biological claims don't align, then this isn't gossip. It's a constitutional problem. And then Tom Bauer dropped the second bomb. A document. Clean, specific. Legitimacy was no longer hypothetical. And legitimacy is the one thing the crown cannot gamble with. If doubts exist, the palace cannot acknowledge them publicly. It would detonate the system. So instead, they distance. They stay silent. They wait. Silence isn't ignorance here. It's containment. And Harry? Harry is unraveling. Friends describe pacing, obsessive scrolling, explosive moods, paranoia spiraling into fixation. The man who branded himself as the mental health prince can't escape his own anxiety. And fatherhood, the thing meant to save him, is now under scrutiny. If the children he built his redemption arc around are questioned, his identity collapses. Either he's naive or complicit. Neither version saves him. And Meghan, she's colder, controlled, calculating. But control backfires when the internet smells fear. Every attempt to silence questions amplifies them. People are rewatching everything now. Photos, dates, statements, not emotionally, methodically. And Harry and Meghan? Silent. No denial, no clarification, no receipts. Silence in this moment isn't dignity. It's gasoline. And this story, it's only just beginning. The silence isn't accidental anymore. It's calculated. And the longer it drags on, the louder it gets. Because when a story has no denial, no clarification, no pushback, people stop asking if something's wrong and start asking how bad it is. This isn't tabloid chatter now. This is timelines turning into spreadsheets. This is Reddit threads morphing into forensic investigations. This is casual observers becoming amateur archivists. And every path keeps circling back to the same dead ends. The palace doesn't move like normal families do. It doesn't react emotionally. It doesn't clap back. It protects the institution. Always. Which is why the absence is deafening. No warm statements from Charles. No grandfatherly gestures. No quiet corrections. Nothing. And when an institution that survives on tradition refuses to affirm legitimacy, people notice. Because affirmation is easy. Silence is expensive. What's happening now is something Harry and Meghan never planned for. They lost narrative control. For years, they trained the public to accept one rule. Their truth mattered more than evidence. Feelings over facts, stories over records. But this scandal doesn't run on emotion. It runs on biology, on documents, on things that can't be edited or reframed in a documentary. That's why this hit Harry so hard. Friends say he's not just anxious, he's unraveling, obsessed with every new post, every video, every comment dissecting his children's photos frame by frame. This is a man who already struggles with paranoia, trauma, and unresolved grief. Now he's facing the one thing he cannot rationalize away: doubt. And doubt is corrosive, especially when your entire post-royal identity is built on fatherhood. Harry didn't just sell books, he sold himself as a protector, a cycle breaker, a father who would do better. So when critics start asking whether the children he's defending are biologically his at all, it doesn't just bruise his image, it annihilates his sense of self. Either he's clueless or he's complicit, and neither version gives him dignity. Meghan, meanwhile, isn't spiraling, she's strategizing. Cold, silent, controlled. But control looks different when you're losing. Every attempt to suppress this story has only confirmed one thing: they are terrified of verification. Because here's the nightmare scenario their PR teams can't fix: if they deny it, they invite proof. If they confirm surrogacy, they trigger constitutional consequences. If they do nothing, suspicion calcifies into history. There is no clean exit. And the monarchy is watching, not intervening. Because if this explodes, the crown needs plausible distance. That's why Archie and Lilibet remain peripheral, why they're not woven into official family imagery, why acknowledgments feel muted, delayed, or non-existent. It's not cruelty, it's risk management, and that realization is what flipped this from gossip to crisis. Then came the Dina question. At first, it sounded outrageous, then it sounded logical, then it sounded inevitable, because when every other avenue is blocked, verification becomes the only resolution, and the public consensus hard and fast: if there's nothing to hide, prove it. That's it. No theatrics, no interviews, no speeches about privacy, just proof. But Harry and Meghan won't touch it. No legal action, no medical releases, no transparent documentation, just silence. And silence in the face of solvable doubt isn't neutral, it's suspicious. Their refusal has turned whispers into demands. From forums to hashtags to mainstream commentary. And the Sussex brand, the one built on authenticity, vulnerability, and moral authority, is cracking at its foundation, because authenticity cannot coexist with unverifiable origin stories. This is where history gets rewritten. Years from now, this won't be remembered as that rumor online. It'll be remembered as the moment everything changed, because monarchies don't collapse from rebellions anymore. They collapse from legitimacy erosion. And legitimacy doesn't need proof of wrongdoing, it only needs unresolved doubt. Harry gambled everything on honesty, on transparency, on breaking from royal secrecy. But now he's using the very silence he once condemned. And people see it. The irony is brutal. The prince who preached healing now looks trapped. The duchess who demanded truth now avoids verification. And the children who were supposed to symbolize a new era have become the epicenter of uncertainty. This isn't about cruelty. It isn't about hate. It isn't even about Meghan anymore. It's about whether the monarchy can afford unanswered questions in its bloodline. And if the palace already suspects something, if distance was deliberate, then this story didn't begin with Tom Bower. It began years ago, quietly, behind closed doors. Which means Harry and Meghan didn't lose control of the narrative recently. They never had it. Now the choice is brutal and binary. Take the test, or live forever under suspicion. One path offers closure. The other guarantees this question follows them into every future project, every appearance, every attempt at reinvention. History doesn't forget unanswered legitimacy scandals. It engraves them. And unless something changes, unless proof replaces silence, this will define the Sussex legacy permanently. Not as rebels, not as victims, but as the couple who couldn't answer the one question that mattered most. Who are the children, really? And why won't they prove it? And why won't they prove it? And why won't they prove it? And